Welcome to Fight the Good Fight Club, the podcast about the relentless pursuit of a life and relationships filled with purpose, love, joy, and peace. If you're ready to get real and dig deep, then you're ready for Fight the Good Fight Club.
Hi, everyone. Welcome. I am your co-host, Cynthia Cintron.
And I'm Marcel Pope.
And we're really excited to dive into today's topic. We're doing a part 2 to If I Defend Myself, I Am Attacked. This is a big topic, yeah?
Yes.
Yeah.
Very huge.
All right. So get ready for part 2. Marcel, you want...
Yeah, I can tell you from the onset, this podcast, the reason we decided to create it was really as an extension upon just conversations you and I would have. And, being in a relationship, of course, you try to improve it, make it better. And in the course of that, the Course in Miracles can help you have better relationships. So in this particular one, if I defend myself, I am attacked. Last week I talked about it's really, most of the time it's an attack on your mind, and then you yourself attack your body. The other person doesn't. So if somebody says, oh, you look overweight, haven't seen you in a while, boy, you gain weight, that can be construed as an attack on you only if you let it. And that the idea was you start saying to yourself, well, I have started programs, I really am fat. And those are the attacks on yourself. So someone unbeknownst to them, or maybe they did it on purpose, made that negative comment about your weight. And it's only an attack if you defend yourself by going through those private thoughts. And the only way to really defend your, quote, body in that sense is to have healing thoughts. Just completely disregard their freedom of speech and saying whatever they want, even though it was against you. So that seems very simple to understand, but I found myself constantly attacking myself from things that were said, throughout the course of my life, going back and examining, who I was and why I was. And I had spent a large part of my life defending myself because of what someone had said to me. And I think I had done pretty good for most of my life and not letting those attacks affect me. But anyway, so you're going to say something?
Yeah, well, sometimes we don't even realize it. We take on those properties. We don't even realize it, and we start to become that, right? Yeah. People saying, oh, you've gained weight, so then you eat more, right?
Yeah, right.
Exactly. So it becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy, and we don't even realize it.
Yeah. And so it's really a personal thing inside, and whatever's going inside of you is going to come out, whether through projections or whatever, when you're in a relationship. And it's been, many books talk about this. You learn more about yourself in a relationship than you do about the other person. And I think me personally experiencing is whenever the other person, quote, had issues, but they, in their mind, they didn't, and they're always projecting their issues on you, but they couldn't see it. And you're constantly defending yourself. With me personally, I've been in those type of relationships. So truth be told, I felt that this one today is going to be a bit of a struggle. The other ones we have done were really, for us, a cakewalk. Forgiveness. I'm never
they were
upset.
Important topics.
But this one's an extension of last week. If I defend myself, I'm attacked, because we were trying to figure out what would be the next lesson to talk about today. And this one came up because I think I had started out something that seemed like it was an attack that needed to be defended, and vice versa, meaning that things that you had said, I felt like I was attacked. And so we got into an argument, heated discussion, and it got really, really deep. And I'm sitting here trying to fumble for a reference in my mind, and I couldn't. So it upset me really bad. So I walked away because I didn't know how to deal with it. And I thought, what do I do? If I am struggling with this stuff, right, how can I ever make it through? And I'm really trying. What about people who don't even try? And I'm thinking that's why there's so much strife in this world, is that people don't know how to deal with what's going on within themselves. And I thought, I know one thing for sure. I don't feel this way. And I thought, what did I think, say, or do? What can I think, say, or do? So I walked away, collected my thoughts, and that's the one thought that came to my mind. I don't want to feel this way. And I felt that I was being attacked because something I said, I didn't say the way I wanted to say it, and it was misconstrued, and it took off on that point. But I guess the bottom line for me, and I guess being selfish, I didn't want to feel that way. Then I thought about how I made you feel, so, and we kind of worked it out, but it really came back down to this idea is if I defend myself, I am attacked. And I started attacking myself with my thoughts and just feeling I was just discombobulated, and I hated it, and I don't like that feeling. I thought, okay, how can I not feel that? And then we figured out, okay, I said, what are you thinking? And then your main thing was, I don't feel like I am being heard.
Okay, so just for the benefit of our audience and for people that are listening to us, because we wanted to do this extension of this topic today because we thought that it would be helpful. It certainly was incredibly helpful for us. It uncovered some very interesting insight that created a lot of conversation for us. So I think that for the benefit of audience, let's put some concrete information behind that, so that they know what we're talking about. So really, it's a two-parter, right? So last night you came in. I've been watching a lot of the news. Marcel our businesses aside, I like to stay really on top of current events. Actually, my business, I'm in marketing, so knowing popular culture and being on top of the news and what's going on is just, one of the things that's really important. Where Marcel also is on top of what's going on, but it's different. I'm not going to mention his line of work, but his focus on a daily basis is different from mine because I'm in marketing and he's not. But my point is that in the day and age that we are at the very moment, we hope that our episodes are timeless. And we don't like to refer to exactly what's going on at the moment because we don't want them to be dated. But what's going on in the world right now is that there are protests, and there was a death. George Floyd was killed. And I've just been following that news, and I've just felt it's hurt me what's going on. I'm a minority. I'm Cuban, a woman, Palestinian, and I'm just very touched by what's going on in the world right now, and I feel it, and I feel really badly for people that have been hurt. I guess in general, in this day and age, there's a lot of discourse. There's a lot of angry people. There's just a lot of negativity going on in general. So, and I'm internalizing that a little bit, and I'm a little sensitive, more sensitive than I realize, I guess, because I haven't really talked about it a lot with a lot of people. So Marcel comes over, and we are talking about stuff. And unintentionally, Marcel says something that I perceive that he's making light of what I think is something that isn't funny. Is that accurate?
No, it's not.
Okay, see, this is where it starts. Okay, by the way, just disclaimer, we've removed all of the sharp objects from the studio because if this gets ugly, Jesse's going to hit the pause button and we're going to call the police.
I'm going to be extremely blunt, okay? Here's the thing. I'm sorry. It's all right.
When you love people, you got to laugh.
Well,
okay.
Here, if I could go back, this is what I would say to you. Mm-hmm. My oldest brother was sitting at his dinner table eating dinner, and a burglar came in with a gun, pointed at him. My brother said, "Don't point a gun at me. What do you want?" The guy shot him. My brother was begging for his life. "Please help me. Please help me. Call 911. Please help me." And he didn't. My brother died, and the guy left for 2 hours, came back, put paper on my brother's body, tore up from his books, put weed eater fuel on the paper, and set my body's. Okay, that's very graphic. It's very blunt. So I felt okay in saying that I forgave the guy spiritually.
Didn't have a problem with that.
Murdered my brother.
Right.
I have no resentment, but
Right.
the laws of this world say you committed this crime, you do the time,
Right.
you're found guilty. So my comment was the thing going on with George Floyd and this officer who killed him, murdered him, I looked at that situation, and it was exactly to me what I experienced in my life. Someone, and George Floyd was my brother.
Right.
And the cop was the murderer. So I thought, okay, I felt all that coming in. I thought, how's this world ever going to heal? And then I thought, okay, I forgive you. Cop, shot. I forgave the cop
Right.
in my heart. And then for George, I said, I hope you are fine. And in my heart, I know that you are.
Yeah.
And I know that you, just like my brother
No
begging for help.
disagreement there.
No, my brother
No
begging for
disagreement.
help.
No
Begging
disagreement.
for his life.
Right.
Okay. And my brother didn't get it and died.
Right.
So I felt but it was to me a repeat, what had happened to my brother. And I just forgave the whole situation.
Right. No
But that
problem
doesn't
there.
mean.
No, yeah, but now
Okay.
my side. Yeah.
Okay.
So, no problem there. Forgiveness all around, right? What I heard you say was that what happened was good because it created an opportunity for forgiveness. And I disagreed because I said that was an evil act, and forgiveness is a separate topic from saying that this awful act creates an opportunity for good. No, it's an evil act. It's an evil act, and I'm not going to
agree.
give it the benefit of good. So, and the reason that this is important, I think, for listeners to hear, and why we're digging into this, because I don't want to get political. Please don't comment about the politics of it. This is zero about politics. This is about humanity. My point is that sometimes you have a relationship, and you have one person believes that they're saying one thing, and they're saying something, and then the other party may hear something completely different from what that person says, and then you don't agree. And it's actually, it's almost kind of, isn't this what it is? Politics, religion. I mean, this is where all disagreements in life happen. I have my position. You have your position. We disagree, and we want to convince the other person. We want to be right. We don't want to be right. I mean, that's where disagreements come from, right? You have your point of view. I have my point of view. And then the truth lays somewhere in the middle. Where the truth lays is where it lays. However, for us, what happened was that I felt very uncomfortable with what I believed I heard you say.
And repeat again what you thought I said.
I thought that you said that this negative thing that happened was a good thing because it created the opportunity for forgiveness.
Okay.
And I disagreed with turning this into a good thing. Now, do I believe that good can come from it? Absolutely.
That's my point.
Absolutely.
That's my point.
Characterizing it as a good thing and an opportunity for forgiveness is not something.
Okay.
And understand, I'm sensitive about it because I'm all wrapped up in it by myself.
I'm extremely sensitive too.
Right?
Yeah.
So we had, this discussion back and forth and back and forth and back and forth, and then we were trying to figure out which lesson happened. But I think that what's important about because we could get lost in the story of it all day long. And I believe, this is my belief, that couples, friends, family members get so caught up in the story of something that they lose light or they lose understanding as to why they're upset.
Right.
And because we then had part 2 this morning, And like you said, you were leaving and coming back. And then it really, right before the show, we sat down, Marcel and I, because we love each other, and we sat down. And, part 2 made it go to another place, which we'll follow up after the break, because that's another part of it. But in digging in and agreeing that we love each other and choosing to discuss it, even though we don't agree with the details, we found a way to find our common ground, which we did agree with. So that's why this lesson is a part 2, and that's why it's really long, because it's many layers. But that happens so much with couples that unravel.
That's right. And then there's no resolution. But I just want, for the sake of argument,
Okay.
I don't believe anything tragic or horrible or toxic that happens is a good thing.
Yes, I agree with that.
Okay?
Yes.
I don't believe that at all.
Yes.
Okay?
Yes.
I used to get on to you for saying this situation. I want to take a fork and stab in my eye. That wouldn't be.
I do. I get so upset. I'm like so mad. I want to stab my eye with a fork.
Well,
I don't even know where that came from. But I say
that wouldn't be a good thing. Okay? So what I said was I try to find the good.
Yes.
That can come of everything. And here, so like you said, no politics.
Maybe it's too
please.
soon.
This isn't
Maybe
politics.
it's too soon for me. When
The
people make
thing is
jokes, comedians
this.
think it's too soon. Yeah.
So getting lost in the form of what's happening rather than the content of what's happening. The content is a broader issue. Mm-hmm. Okay, the form was a specific event. And so I do agree with that. And again, so I try to find, okay, and so we had talked about this concept of agents of change. Mm-hmm. Why does something really bad have to happen before change is instituted? Why? There's a local park up here. A woman had gotten raped in the middle of the day. Yeah. All of a sudden, they beef up security and everything around that park. Yeah. Okay. Then they start putting all these alerts out of bad things can happen. It seems to be just a way of life.
Maybe because people want to escape the pain.
Yeah. And the crossing, a young girl had gotten killed not real long ago crossing the highway A1A, the main street. Mm-hmm. Oh, now a girl, okay, let's try to make it safer. But why didn't they try to make it safer before a young girl died? Yeah. So my point was agents of change. So this happened. So there it is, the formula. Something really bad happened. Now change will be made. Yeah. Okay.
Well, we prioritize. We prioritize based on needs, right? So if you're like super happy and everything is fabulous, you don't feel a need to do anything, but be happy and joyful.
Okay. So we got that resolved. Okay. Thank you. Now it brings us back to why we're doing this and why we're using, all the books and stuff you and I, our whole lives. You and I have been in psychotherapy for a long time on our own profession or whatever. But really it's about trying to make it through this life, be happy, don't let just try to be a part of good in this world, a force of good. So in this whole idea of A Course in Miracles is trying to take these what seem to be very hard to understand lessons, but really they're not that hard to understand at all. They're super simple. Yeah. And so one of them is about the mind. And one of the things that came out of this discussion was the concept of duality of mind. We are spirits and we are also humans, and the balance in between. And it seems like sometimes we can be too spiritual in a human situation and not real. It's almost like something's happening. Well, here's a lesson in that. You know what? Screw you. I'm not interested in hearing a lesson while it's happening,
Yeah, so that leads us then into part 2 this morning. So I think we should take a break.
Yes.
We are actually talking about, just to reiterate, if I defend myself, I am attacked. And there's a spiritual part of that.
Yes.
There's a human part of that. Yes. And where do we, the human we,
right,
and the relationship we, and the one self we, me, lay in that? So there's,
and what is an attack? Okay.
And what is
an attack?
Exactly. Yeah. Okay. So on the way back, when we come back, we'll talk about part 2.
Thanks for listening. If you're enjoying this episode and you'd like to help support the podcast, please subscribe and tell your friends. For more tips and ways to dig deep and get real, sign up for our newsletter, read blogs, and shop our merch at fightthegoodfightclub.com.
And we are back. I'm Cynthia Cintron.
I'm Marcel Pope.
And we are the hosts and a couple. And we are actually living out our podcast in real life. And this is really, really important for us. We've had discussion about the abstract, talking about what's happened in the past and talking about the lessons and relating them. But the reality is that if we really want to be true to what we want to accomplish, which is twofold. One, we very selfishly are doing this podcast because we want to expand our growth. Personally, spiritually, we want to expand this growth. And then also, we want others to experience, and maybe they can pick up a nugget or two from what we've been through. And because you're not in the same room with other people when they're fighting and then they're breaking down their discussion, or they're breaking down their loss, or they're breaking down what they're learning, so that you can maybe glean from that something that might be able to help your life. You know, I do that with my friends. I do that all the time. But really selfishly, we want to grow, and unselfishly, we want to maybe help others grow from the mistakes that we've made.
Exactly. And so when you talk about personal growth and development, I think there's issues that we all have that we have to work on within ourselves that nobody can help us out with, that we have to do some own internal work, which you've helped me out a lot. And then I just realized something this morning, how much you have really helped me out on certain things.
Well, you've done that for me too.
I mean, a lot. So
well, what's interesting between us, and I think that it's really important that people understand, when we love someone, we love them unconditionally, we say, because I love you all the time. For me, unconditional has conditions. So, for example, if I love you and every morning we woke up and you beat me over the head, you know, there's going to come a point where it's going to be conditional. You know what? I'm not loving you if you keep beating me over the head. So there are conditions, and those conditions come in the form of boundaries.
Correct. Which I grew up in what I would say is a liberal family. There were really no rules or whatever. Fortunately for me, I found education, and I liked getting good grades, and so my structure was education. But what reason I brought that up, when you were talking about, if I defend myself, I am attacked. I'm like, well, people say whatever they want. It's free country, freedom of speech. You have the right to let it offend you, and then if you defend it, then you are attacked.
Which is the spiritual.
The spiritual aspect, which brought up the other side, which is human. And I brought up something from the past that it's not a big thing.
We had an argument, and we agreed that we would not bring it up again.
Yeah.
And it's come up a couple of times, and it's created tension for us. And basically and this is really important because this happens all the time. People keep bringing something up from the past because, you're angry and it's unresolved, or for whatever reason, it's there. But we made an agreement and by the way, we don't agree on this particular topic. So we've decided that because really, relatively speaking, it's not that important. Nobody cheated on anybody. I mean, I think that there's so many greater sins. However, it hurts my feelings and it hurts his feelings. So it's one of those things that something was said, we can't agree with it, so we have agreed to disagree and leave it in the past.
And I agree, but you made me realize here now why I said I forgave you, which I did, but then I brought it back up.
Mm-hmm.
It's because I had a boundary I didn't know that I had. That's really what it was.
Okay.
I've never sat down and said to someone, these are my boundaries. I've never said that, but unbeknownst to me, I do have them.
Yeah.
I never penned them. I
Yeah.
never voiced them. I never thought about them, but I have them.
Yeah.
And one was crossed. And it was really nothing, but it's a boundary of mine.
Well, it was unintentional.
It was
I mean, we've been together
and that's
4 years.
why-
We've been together 4 years. 4 years.
That's
and I have never
I
done that.
think-
And I don't agree that I did it. And you say I did.
But that's the whole thing. Why does it keep coming up?
Exactly.
Because
I think it keeps coming up because you want me to admit that I did it, and I don't believe I did it.
no, okay. So that's maybe partly of it, but even so, remember what I was saying this morning? A person coerced against their will is of the same opinion still.
Yeah.
I think Lincoln said that.
Yeah.
So whatever you have in your mind or whatever you believe to you is the truth.
Yes.
Whether if someone says, I believe the world's flat, well, we all know that it's a sphere. It's spherical, not flat.
Yeah.
But if someone's in their mind, then they're going to beat that person over the head? No.
Yeah.
In their mind, it's flat. So their life is going to be dictated by the earth being flat. So I'm saying whatever you have in your mind.
People will have their own truths.
Yeah.
Right?
Right.
Which is so in present day, it's where you have two people. One could be a Republican, one could be a Democrat. One could be a Jew, one could be a Catholic. One could be, a pacifist, one could be a warmonger. I mean, this is what thousands of years of wars are based on, right? It's a disagreement.
And so this whole lesson, if I defend myself, I am attacked, is starting to make me realize it's one of the most important ones.
Yeah.
What in your mind would you be defending?
Mm-hmm.
Is it a set of beliefs, set of values? But what is the absolute ultimate truth? That this whole world is just an illusion. Yeah. And an illusion, of course, in Miracles is defined as something that's temporal and that doesn't last forever. That's why it's unreal on those. It's an unreal illusion because it's temporary. We're here temporarily. We're spiritual beings having a human experience, and while we're here, many times we feel separated and cut off from our source, but we never are, because the eternal source of life is in us. It is the God within. So all the life that we have comes from that source. And that whole idea, that can never be attacked.
Right.
There's nothing to defend. It's eternal. It can never be harmed. Right. So that's the spiritual aspect of if I defend myself, I am attacked.
And that's what's really interesting, because you were, and it makes perfect sense. You're saying, why are you upset that I'm saying this? It's just, you basically were saying, why do you feel attacked? It's just a word. Let it go.
All right. And God forbid somebody come in here and shoot me dead, put a gun to my head and kill me.
Right. I'm going to, so that's the one side of it. So we were going back and forth about it. And you were defending, understandably, you were defending the spiritual aspect of it.
That's right.
And I said to you, I am a human being on this planet.
Correct.
And on this planet, I have boundaries, morals, and values.
Right.
And I am telling you that my boundary is that you cannot do X, Y, and Z. And so as a human walking this planet, it's different. And that's when both of us had an aha moment. And this is really important because...
Finish. Go ahead.
Okay, because I said it doesn't negate my spirituality. But if somebody walks in, if I'm in a relationship with a man who hits me every day, well, my boundary is that you can't. Okay, wait. Let me not do a physical. Let me do a not. I am with a man who insults me and picks on me and is constantly putting me down.
Right.
My boundary, because it hurts me and I don't do that to him or to anybody else, I don't want to be, that hurts my feelings.
Sure.
It makes me feel inferior, and I don't want to be with someone who wakes up every day with negativity and is constantly cutting me down and is criticizing me and is making me feel less than. Can we say spiritually that I could say, well, that's an attack, and I just have to wake up every day and I have to become right and spiritual with that, and I have to say, oh, he's just saying those words, and if I'm spiritual, then I'm not being cut down. And you know what? No, I am not going to be with someone who's cutting me down every day. It doesn't make me feel right.
Exactly.
So the human part of me lays down a value. By the way, Marcel doesn't put me down every day. That's not what we were talking about. I just realized, like, no, it's not. Honestly, if somebody from the outside understood. We're arguing about, he thinks I called him a name and I didn't call him a name, and he believes I called him a name and I'm telling him I did. So it's just, it's really that bit on the surface. It's that, but it goes deeper for that.
I
for
know.
us.
And again, so.
And it was one time.
And that.
4 years ago.
That to me is the largest lesson.
Yeah.
I'm going to say you did, and you're saying you didn't.
I did it.
But, and I know
I
you
don't
did.
believe
Hold
I
on.
did.
Okay.
I don't believe I did.
But see, and this is the lesson. Does it really matter who's right? That's the point. What's lost in that whole thing is all the joy, because it's a part of our minds that needs to be right. Let's say, for an instance.
But then why do you keep bringing it up?
Because what it was is, to your point, you violated a huge boundary of mine that I didn't know I had.
But you said
And
you weren't going to bring it up again.
I know, but I did, because you taught me something I didn't know, and in order for me to tell you what you taught me, I have to bring it up again.
No, you have to bring it. No,
I have to
why are you
bring
bringing
it
it up here? You have permission to bring it up here.
Okay, that's my point.
People, welcome to our reality.
I didn't know I had that boundary. Okay, and so that's what you taught. I never sat back and go, hey, these are my boundaries. This, and this, A, B, and C, 1, 2, 3. These are things you don't do to me or around me. I never said that to anybody. Yeah. I just kind of like, okay, well, you know what? I don't like the energy this person exudes or whatever. I just either don't want him in my life. Like, one last living brother. You know, he's not in my life because of the way he is. I didn't say, hey, you don't do, I don't tell him how to be. I just said, I don't want that energy in my life anymore. Right. So I'm honoring his wish for me not to be in his life anymore.
Well, what's really funny is that your boundary is actually my boundary, because the reason that this is a sticky point is, and anybody that's listening to this can actually fill in the blank. Because if you are in a relationship and something keeps coming up over and over and over again, it's because of what you assign to it. So what I assign, funny enough, is what I assign to that is, and anyone who knows me knows, I don't call people names. I don't even flip people off. My friends think that I am like a platypus. I'm a unicorn. In my 52 years, and if you ever repeat my age to anybody ever again, we're going to have words. But in all of my time, I have never flipped anybody off, because it's so offensive to me. Because when I was a child, my mother did it to me. And
you knew how it made you feel, and you didn't want anybody to feel the same way.
It was so... It hurt me so deep to the core. And it wasn't that she just, it was what was going on. Yeah. So there's certain things. So calling names and being offensive and that sort of thing is really personal. It's a boundary. I don't do that. So with Marcel insisting that I did that and then putting such a huge weight on it, makes me feel like he thinks that I'm that kind of person.
No, you're not. I know you're not.
And
Come on.
you're continuing to bring it up or repeat it, keeps saying that the man that I love, who is next to me, believes that I'm that person that violates and is that nasty and mean and hurtful. So that's what that represents to me.
It's not what I want to hear. That sounds to be true to me.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so for a while we were stuck in that ego, who will fight to the death to to be right.
Yeah,
that's what the ego does.
Yeah.
Okay, which is totally the antithesis of spirituality.
Yep.
Okay, was that we were hung up, and yes, you said it. No, I didn't, and I just got sick of it, and I don't want to. And I asked you this morning, why does that have so much power over us?
Yeah.
Why?
Because I refused to say
I know.
that I did it.
Well, you said it. I don't think of you that way, right?
I
don't think of you that way. Obviously,
but you keep bringing it up.
I know, and so I found the answer. Why I think it was a twofold, but I'm good with it, and I and once you said,
so why don't you verbalize? Go ahead and let's make this the nuggets, because I really think that in our discussing this and resolving this, I hope others will hear and maybe pick up if there's this ongoing thing that really affects your relationship. Because we love each other so much and we respect each other on a regular basis. But every once in a while, this thing comes up and it really upsets us, and really to the core. It's like, why? Because this is the kind of thing that breaks up families. This is the kind of thing that breaks up relationships.
Keeps
this
wars
is the
going on
kind
for
of
2,000
thing
years.
that makes people put their knee on the neck of another person. Because what is it? We're never fighting about the thing that we think we're fighting about. What was that
I'm
lesson?
never upset for the reason I think.
Which was lesson
Yes.
number 2.
So it wasn't the name. It was underneath a boundary had been crossed, but deeper down. But even, all right, let's take it even so, all that, in reality, okay, as humans, it affects us with all those emotions. But in reality, spiritually, on the extreme absolute truth, none of it should really matter, because who we really are, we cannot be attacked. We are forever. We're pure light. We're pure love. We're pure joy. That's what we were created of. That's what's in us, and that's what we should emanate. But we get sidetracked and hung up in arguments and discussions where there's a part of us that needs to be right that is totally away, and we lose sight of the truth.
That's the human part of us, right?
And that's why we were saying the balance. We vacillate. Oh, my God, I'm over here. So we're being, quote, too human. But then sometimes we can be too spiritual. There's nothing worse than going through something, you're talking to someone, and then they tell you, well, you know, this is the lesson that you need to learn. And no one wants to hear that in the midst, and you know it's true.
Okay, guilty.
Okay.
Well, because and it's funny enough, because it was like this morning because you were like defending it with, well, Cynthia, does it really matter? Because if we're spiritual, and that's when I had my moment. I lit up like the 4th of July movie with Will Smith. I like my brain opened up and lights were shooting out of my eyeballs. And I looked at you and I said, I am human, and the human has morals, values, and boundaries.
And when you promise and say you forgave and you made a commitment and then you break that promise, that's what set you off. And then I say, why?
You crossed a boundary.
And I didn't consciously do it. I told you, the energy got so intense. Normally I used to just walk away, but then I question it. Why? Yeah. And I see, you know, it's no secret. I'm a financial advisor. When I got approval to do this show outside of my line of work, I could not talk to my clients about it, which I'm not. You and I are having a discussion. Yeah. One happens to hear it. It's not my fault. I'm not whatever. So it's not a secret of what I do. So because of that, I see a lot of people have for years. But I see in front of me tensions between people that have been there and festering for years. And I don't judge. I just go, wow. And so it made me see my own self of what's in me. And so, but anyway, I don't want that with you. Yeah. Where there's stuff that just continually comes up and festers and ruins the happiness and joy. Eventually, there's resentment sets in, and all of a sudden, you're in a dead relationship for years. Yeah. And I see this so much. And a lot of times, you know, people don't leave because of money. Yeah. You know, and then so you put a price on your life then, right?
Or the vow.
And I remember when I got divorced, the truth was to myself, it's better to divorce with the truth than to stay together with a lie. Yeah. You know? Yeah. And so, but anyway, so I mean, that's really what it boils down to. I got really, we were both really upset. And at the end of the day, you did teach me something.
Well, we both had an aha. We both had an aha, because I realized what happened was that both of us sort of laid down our law, and then we looked at each other and realized neither one of us was wrong. Neither one of us was right either. The truth was that we were both speaking what we both believed, instead of realizing really what was the most important. Because we can have both, right? We can be in our convictions, and we can't, because at the end of the day, I know your heart. You know my heart. Yeah. You know that you don't want to hurt me. I know that I don't want to hurt you. So when we sit there and we're speaking truth to each other, and we're honest and having an exchange, no matter how painful it is, we were working to find our common ground. So I saw your side a little bit more of it. I saw that you had not seen that you were leading so strongly with your spiritual side that you weren't seeing what I was trying to say. And I was leading so strongly with my human side that I wasn't seeing the spiritual side. And the reality is that understanding each other, because we do live on this planet and we are human beings, what we want, the perfect balance, is that if we can be in a human relationship and have a spiritual balance and peace and love, that's perfection. That's nirvana.
And forgive all grievances, because grievances do nothing but are just like fly in the ointment. It's a pebble in the gears. It just ruins the functioning of it. So, let's say you're in a hospital and you're a neuroassignment doctor, a patient comes in, they've been shot, GSW, gunshot wound. And you and I look at each other and we go, well, how did they get shot? They go, we don't know. Well, tell us. How did this shot happen? Well, we were cleaning the gun and it actually went off. Really, is that? Meanwhile, the person's dying. Right? Mm-hmm. Because we're focused on
the why.
Yeah. We're not taking care of the. Yeah. So the patient in this case is the relationship. Yeah. Right? The relationship just suffered a gunshot wound. Ooh. We're going to fight over who fired it, why, and what. And it's like, you know what? Let's take care of the wound.
Yeah.
Wow,
that's deep.
Okay. So
you just wait a minute. Hold on. That was a Magic Mike motor. Whoosh. That was deep. That was powerful.
Yeah. So I can say you fired the bullet, mm-hmm. and you can say no, I didn't.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, what's suffering?
The relationship.
Right? So I don't care.
Both of us trying to be right.
I don't care. Mm-hmm. It doesn't matter. That's not who you are.
Yeah.
And I expect, the only reason I'm with you, because I know that you will be firing bullets, and it's exciting.
Forever. He loves it too. And that you will make me fire. Like he walks in, please fire the bullet. Please fire the bullet. You're insane. We are insane.
Okay. I said a bullet, but you have a Gatling gun, man. And your favorite is that spine of yours is actually a Cuban missile. I have my own Cuban missile crisis.
Right. Well, you love my Cuban finger. When it goes up, everybody has to take cover in the room.
But in my heart, finally, this thing.
And your Japanese sensei stuff. He sits in a corner. Go ahead. No, actually, what Marcel does, he does the Matrix thing, where Keanu Reeves is like dodging the bullets, being all cool, and I'm like, you will eventually like lose your zen, and one will hit you. Okay.
But the
back
whole
to reality
purposes of us recording this stuff, I don't know. I always felt we had gained some personal ground with each other, mm-hmm. Within ourselves and mm-hmm. together. And I had asked you, why does this issue mm-hmm. have so much power over mm-hmm. us? And for the first time, I've let it go. I don't care anymore. Mm-hmm. I really don't care about it.
Yeah.
And I've let it go. And I said I'd forgiven you before, whatever. And then I brought, but it may be because it was still in me. That's why it still came out.
Yeah.
But I actually, in my heart, I don't care about it anymore. It's lost its power over me, and hopefully over us. Because so you made me promise again.
So you are okay with the fact that I don't believe that I said that?
Yeah, I don't care.
Really?
I'm not going to get hung up on it
mm-hmm.
because
okay.
I know I'm right and you said
right.
it.
So, oh my gosh. Wait a minute. Hold please. I'm going to go find a sharp object. Okay. So on air, I love this because it's recorded. We are going to agree to disagree and we're going to let this go.
You said something.
What?
You said you were worried that I would think that that's who you are and it's not who you are. And if that was really your worry, then your worry is unfounded because I know that's not who you are. You're not a name caller. You don't say things to purposely hurt people. That's not who you are.
I'm not.
You're not at all.
And you're not a person that holds grudges.
And I never. No, absolutely not. I'm not at all.
Yeah.
So, and it's almost like seemed like we were being people who we aren't, who we don't want to be.
Right?
But really, to me, that was probably the biggest festering thing, and now it's gone, and which is really what I wanted. That's what I wanted more than anything. I was upset. I got upset at the beginning of the show, right? Because I don't want this feeling.
Yeah.
I don't want it.
Yeah.
I want to get rid of it. And I think, and it doesn't happen overnight, obviously.
Yeah.
I think that's the work in a relationship. I think,
Well, that's what our show is about, right? It's the relentless pursuit.
Yeah.
Because
can I add aggravating pursuit?
Oh my God!
Sometimes futile feeling that this is never going to end and I'm going to give up and quit, because I almost didn't want to come here today, but I thought,
I didn't
either.
What? I really didn't.
We made a commitment. And
it's Jesse's
and
fault. We knew he was coming. We're like, we have to come.
Well, he
Jesse's
made a
commitment.
commitment. That's right. We didn't want to throw him off. He's got a life too, and he's like, he committed the time. We didn't want to let him down either. So I'm glad we came through. So,
but I think, and because that's all true, and I also believe that that's why. Again, why we do the show, why we're together, why we want. You and I made a commitment. You asked me, you said, do you think we could be together for 50 years? Like my parents. I said, yeah, I think so. I think we could be together for 50 years. And you said, okay, well, we start now. And the reality is that, isn't that about, it's the same as trying to be on this relentless pursuit of peace, joy, and happiness. Because unless we spontaneously combust and go up into the ether as a spirit, we are on this planet as humans fighting the good fight.
And the good fight for me was wanting to get rid of that feeling. I was fighting. I wanted that feeling out of me. I didn't want it anymore. Just like, I hate to keep bringing it up, but to me it's a quintessential example of what we go through in this life. A major grievance in my life was my brother got murdered. That was a grievance I had, and I got rid of it pretty quickly. And I don't know why I was able to do that, but then these little things just have much more of an impact, and I hold on to that, and I'm why.
I think resolution. I think that when we make peace with something and really, it's forgiveness. It's actually our first episode. And until we find true, honest, full forgiveness, it continues to rear its head over and in all kinds of different ways. Yeah. So I guess, forgiveness is at the base of so much.
Absolutely. And then, in fact, that is a lesson. Forgiveness is the key to my happiness. And that's like one absolute truth in and of itself. Well, what about love? And what about all the other things? Well, forgiveness is the key, because forgiveness is cleaning out all the garbage in you, letting it all go, letting all the grievances go, which was another one. Let miracles replace all grievances. I think that was the third one we had done. Mm-hmm. So unbeknownst to us, those first four are all you really need to know from A Course in Miracles, from my humble viewpoint of having gone through it. Yeah. It's like you read 10 volumes and you only need a fraction of one to really live a happy and solve all your internal issues.
Well, I hear that and I agree. But since we are not perfect spiritual senseis that are ready to go up the mountain and sit on top, I think what is learning is that those things that help us practice or put these lessons into practice, they come up in all different shapes, colors, sizes, relationships, and every time there's another challenge that comes up, whether it be with ourselves or in relationship, we build a foundation. We go into our toolbox, right? Yeah. If we learn how to forgive, or those are tools that we go in and we can reach so that we can, find a way to stay on that path to peace, joy, and happiness and develop. So I guess the good news is that we have a lot of opportunities to continue to practice.
And one other thing I read something that said the vast majority of criminals have a poor vocabulary, which the takeaway was they're not able to express how they feel. So when you can find a lesson and you can verbalize and understand the feelings you have and voice them and feel you're being heard, I think is one of the biggest things in humanity, is feeling heard. And these people who go out and shoot up other people, we've seen where they've sought professional help. They've even broadcasted what they're thinking about doing, like it's a cry for help. Help me. I don't want, this is what I'm thinking of. And then they go seek help and nobody listens to them. They're not being heard. They don't know why they're feeling what they're feeling.
Well,
right?
There's a chronological age and physical maturity, but then there's also an emotional and mental and spiritual maturity. And I believe that what happens with many of us, we think that we get older, or we think we get to a certain point and we know everything because, we've been through it. The reality is that we're still very early in our maturity, emotionally, spiritually, and mentally.
Yeah, and I think it boils down to, in our mind, we have our mind, right? And which is eternal. But then we, as humans, we have our feelings. But anyway, so I think that's what it boils. I blurted that out. I broke a promise, violated a commitment, because I didn't know what I was feeling. I didn't know where it was coming from. Remember, I told you it just came out. Why? And then it dawned on me. That was a boundary of mine that I didn't know I had as a human. Spiritually, though, you can rise above it all. Go, you know what? This is all just an illusion. It's all going to fade away 200 years. No one's going to know. But in this moment, I think I inside wanted to feel better, but I didn't want to project on you how I was feeling. It's no different. Those feelings is no different. Those bullets being fired out there are the same thing. Instead of words, they're bullets. And they're the same forces behind them, though.
Well, I'm listening to you and I'm hearing what you're saying, and I'm having a thought, and what I'm realizing is that there's the human interactions that we have, and then there's the spirituality. What's in the middle is the actual learning of the lessons and employing them. So you can say, up here, I'm spiritual. So spiritually, if somebody calls me a name, you read the word, right? You read the word that if I defend myself, then I am attacked. So somebody called me a name, and spiritually, I'm not attacked if I don't defend myself, so off you go. But there's something that has to happen in between to bridge that. And there's the forgiveness, and there's the actual going through it. So actually saying that you're spiritual and believing that you're spiritual, or being human and ignoring the spiritual part of it, being too much of one and not having that balance, or not being both, creates a deficit that doesn't allow us to be whole.
I agree. And two thoughts came to my mind, two quotes. And if you're in the middle of a storm, wouldn't it be nice just to be able to say, peace, be still, and it stops? Or, forgive them, Father, for they know not what they do, right? So those two are very apropos in what you just said. There's an attack on you. You don't need to defend yourself. You could say those two things, or I could see peace instead of this. Peace, be still, forgive them, Father, for they know not what they do. Okay, so there's many ways to prevent negative energy from creeping in, taking over our minds, so that we take it in and then project it back out on the world.
We have to do the work.
They have to do the internal work. And to me, that's where the miracle of A Course in Miracles comes in. It's helping me verbalize back to the criminal statement of many don't have a very poor vocabulary. My vocabulary is poor in a lot of this, and I'm trying to improve it. And the Course in Miracles helped me do that. Figure out, okay, so I know that these usually go on longer than we anticipate. So
we were going to do a short one today, but never fear. There will be another episode next week. And so until then, I am Cynthia Cintron, who loves Marcel and all his imperfections and perfections.
Thank you.
And you are?
Marcel Pope.
Who loves Cynthia Cintron?
Oh, I apologize. Who loves Cynthia with all of his heart, soul, fiber, and being.
Oh, yeah. See y'all next week.
If you enjoy our podcast, we invite you to subscribe to Fight the Good Fight Club on YouTube. hit the notification button and give us a thumbs up. Also, head over to fightthegoodfightclub.com and sign up for the newsletter, read blogs, and more. Thanks for listening.